Well, let's get a few more topics. Speaking of the same Jim, the Young Bucks recently did an interview, and a lot of the listeners have been sending us in the CornyDriveThru@gmail.com, as well as just sending it over to us however they can at this point. They did an interview with Tunnel Talk on Social Suplex.
Is that a friend of theirs that's got his head up his own ass?
I'm not sure, but it says Tunnel Talk on Social Suplex, whatever that may be.
Oh, boy.
Matt says he enjoys being uncomfortable and trying new things.
What? He enjoys being uncomfortable. That's why he sleeps on broken glass every night, folks.
Nick added, I think part of it is after doing it for 20 plus years now, sometimes the normal gets boring, and you just want to think outside the box.
Oh, Christ.
Matt continued, you want to entertain yourself, but to Nick's point, you go to a rock show and you want to hear the songs that you know. Whenever they play the new stuff, everyone is just like, oh, come on, the new stuff, this sucks. Because you're going to band your dad likes, kid. But as a performer, as a creative person, I always want to come up with something fresh.
Then why have they been having the same matches for the last fucking 15 years?
Here's a good example. When we did the EVPs thing, we were like, let's just have really boring matches. Let's stop doing all the super athletic moves that get big reactions.
Oh, the super athletic move. You know, these guys are the next thing to fucking Alexander Carolyn. They're a goddamn experiment. They've been trained and scientifically enhanced since they were babies in the cradle to fucking be the supreme athletes. But go ahead.
It is hard because one of the things in general is that most of our stuff is pretty exciting. It's high spots. We did it. Nick added, I stopped doing dives for maybe 8 months. I didn't do a tumble out to the floor for about 8 months. And that was on purpose.
I didn't do a tumble.
We literally wanted people to think, are these guys not athletic anymore? Are they just boring wrestlers now?
Oh.
So let's stop there. There's a little more to quote here, but the idea, it's not a crazy idea, the idea that a babyface would change their style if they became a heel as opposed to a heel who backs himself into a babyface.
Correct.
That concept isn't crazy. But
let's be boring is a crazy concept. And by the way, you're always boring because it is the same shit all the time. And the fucking EVPs was just the same old shit with rotten booking or even rottener. Is rottener a fucking verb? Anyway.
It is now.
What it is these guys are childish in more ways than one. They've always had a bad fucking attitude. Hence the name of their book, Killing the Business, because everybody told them their shit would kill the business. And well, looky here. But in Ring of Honor in 2010 or whatever. And remember, I've told a story how we ended up with them before we wanted them to begin with. When they were working in TNA and Sinclair had bought Ring of Honor and we were working on contracts with the talent, they had called and talked to me and to Delirious. And yes, for the Ring of Honor audience of the time, they were known. They were a lot younger. They were certainly a lot cheaper. I wasn't particularly big fans, but I knew the audience liked them, right? So we were trying to be nice, and we both, Delirious and I both said, well, you guys are under contract with TNA through the end of the year. By the end of the year, I'm sure we can work something out. We'd like to have you, keep in touch with us. Let us know what the fuck's going on with you, that type of thing, right? We get a call 2 weeks later, they fucking quit, and they let them out of their contracts to get rid of them because they didn't want them down there either. They said, when can we start? We're like, what the fuck? And then we had to talk Joe Koff into talking Greg the office boy into flying these two numbnutses from fucking Cucamonga or wherever they're from to the East Coast, plus a hotel room, plus they'd been making $500 a piece per show with the previous Ring of Honor, which, again, at this point, whether you can say they'd ever drawn any money or not now is questionable, but they'd never drawn any money then. And they only wanted to fly them out for TV tapings where the budget was bigger instead of putting them in Collinsville, Illinois. And then they got fucking pissed and started complaining because we weren't booking them when we didn't fucking want them at that point to begin with. But I had a point to that story, Brad. Oh, so they had a TV match one time. We're doing TV in Baltimore. And I was about, their gravy had gone all over my plate already, even back then. Right? And Delirious had sat down with him and said, whoever they were working with, I can't remember, but we wanted a serious match. We put it in the main event slot. We didn't want goddamn cartwheels and grab ass. He sat down with them to be more of the generation to give advice and said, hey, have a good match with these guys and let's the fast-paced high spots and boom, 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 but not so much of the gymnastics that you do, right? So we're sitting in the truck, and you know what they did? They started twisting the arm, holding a wrist lock, standing flat-footed, and then tagging out, and boom, and coming in and hammer fisting the shoulder. And they did that for 10 minutes, that kind of thing. And I'm looking at him, I said, what? How we're supposed to get this young fucking hippy-dippy fucking high-spot tag team, and instead we get Bruiser and fucking Crusher? I said, they're working flat-footed like fucking Ox Baker because they're pissed because we said just wrestle athletically. Don't do your goddamn gymnastic horse shit because we're trying to run a serious operation here, and you guys ain't the top tag team. And instead of trying to prove that they could do it, they instead chose to stink up 10 minutes of TV match, which I then took back and edited out about 3 minutes to stink less before it aired. But they've always had bad attitudes unless they're allowed to do whatever they want and go home whenever they want and get their music and their friends' jobs and their wife can do the fucking merchandise or whatever. Rotten attitudes. How did that come up?
Oh, we were talking about their quotes from an interview with
Yes, so they think that they should have boring matches because they're heels, and that way people were already booing them anyway because they're just sick of them. But heels don't have matches like baby faces. That's true. But heels have exciting matches like heels have. And you work just as hard on being a heel and putting yourself in that position and swaying the audience's emotions and roughing up a guy that the fans are more likely to be sympathetic to because of the issue and his demeanor. And that's the way that you perform the art of being a pro wrestling heel. But since these children developed their own selves on their fucking trampoline, they didn't get very deep in this. The only deep thing they've got is the truffle pig looking for the ratings under the shit.
They were asked about some of the fan comments on social media, about their in-ring skills. Here's a quote from Nick. I see some of it. I stay off most of social media, but one thing that really pissed me off was someone said, I thought the Young Bucks were washed. And I was thinking, oh, come on. You guys fell for the gimmick that we were doing.
Oh, God.
We didn't forget how to wrestle out of nowhere. Come on, don't be dumb.
Brian, is this the first time in history that you've ever heard any professional wrestler say, ha ha, I fooled you, my match didn't stink because I can't wrestle, I was trying to make it stink?
The other thing is this a rewriting of history in a sense?
Yes.
Because the Young Bucks, who were killing the ratings in every segment they were in, and people were talking about how they're dead on arrival right now. No one wants to see them as baby faces. No one wants to see them as heels. And they don't mean anything.
They started getting a little backlash when it became obvious that even though FTR at the time was the much superior team and the people wanted to support them, the little weasels would never clearly put them over in a 2 out of 3 situation or without a bunch of bells and whistles and oh why I oughtas. That's when they first started getting a little backlash from even their faithful, and then it went downhill from there.
Remember when they disappeared off TV, when they came out and the fans started chanting FTR at them? They were on the ramp and it was like an aggressive, like, FTR!
Yeah.
And then we didn't see the Young Bucks for a while. Because, listen, this is Tony's project, but they're doing their project. It's just Tony's funding it in the middle of Tony's project. They work with their referee. They've got their moron announcer on commentary. They've got all their friends there as stooges or giving them jobs. They protected Colt Cabana's job. He's done nothing since. I don't want to hear about, behind the scenes, he's a big player. Behind the scenes, the company's a fucking mess. So give me a break.
Well, behind the scenes, what's he doing? Getting coffee? They don't have producers they ever listen to. There's no reason. How is he going to tell anybody how to do anything to begin with?
They turned heel and didn't know how to do it. And Tony Khan didn't know how to do it. Jack Perry and the Young Bucks attacked Tony Khan. First of all, if the Jack Perry shit is in any way run by the Bucks and they thought it was a good idea and then Tony did, there's part of the problem. Why is he the scapegoat? Exactly what is he the scapegoat of? I mean, none of it makes any sense. And the Bucks didn't work. They were the kind of heels that Moxley is now. They don't cause people to want to see you get your ass kicked. They cause people to turn the channel. And it wasn't because they were boring. I don't remember seeing those complaints. Do you?
No.
They're boring now. I used to like them, but now they're boring. I don't remember seeing that at all.
I mean, I agree with them. The matches did stink, but that was no different than their previous matches. Because they all stink. Because it's the same shit from these fucking kids that want to fucking play like they're tough guys. And whether it's Pie Face or the bald one, the one flips over and they ram the fucking guy in together, and then the one backflips over the second rope and then moonsaults off the fucking apron. They've been doing that since 2010. I've been having a look at that shit. It's their play wrestling that could only go so far when it was on an indie level and they went to different buildings a few times a year live, and the 700 people or whatever there were just happy to see them. But it doesn't play every week because normal people watching television across the country are saying, what the fuck? You expect me to believe this guy's a fucking wrestler? And look at what they look like, and look at how they talk, and look at how they act, and look at these fucking matches.
Well, here's the question I have. When they come back, and if the rumors are true and they come back with Kenny Omega at some point to be the ones that take down Moxley and the Death Riders, the original EVP, save AEW and save Tony Khan, even though they beat up Tony Khan a year ago. But they saved the company.
Well, time heals all wounds.
From the Death Riders. Is Road Warrior Buck gonna sell for Moxley? Or is Moxley and Claudio, are they gonna be selling for the Bucks after not selling for anyone?
I predict that old Matthew, he'll double fucking Northern Lights suplex Claudio and Moxley together on top of Marina Shafir, who will have been leveled moments before.
See, they're still EVPs. They should use that and fuck with Moxley. They come back like, John, you think you're so big and bad? Guess what? I'm an EVP. My wife is now going to design your shirts. She's in charge of merch again. You're fucked, man. There goes your income. Again, maybe one day in the future, the Death Riders versus the Elite. Would you put money on it that it's going to happen?
Well, I tell you, you can put money on most anything these days, but I think that might be a sucker's bet. Maybe we'll bet that if it happens, it's going to suck. That way we wouldn't be suckers. But you know what wouldn't suck is if you, not you, Brian, but the you out there in podcast land, if you won a bunch of money. Because we talked about these playoffs they're doing in the bowl games and all. It's big shit happening in the sports world, right? This is the time of year where, well, even more people do that kind of thing than normal. And right now, you can get in on the action at the DraftKings Sportsbook. They're an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you know. And you know what they do in the NFL, don't you, Brian? They score touchdowns. You've seen those.
Well, some do. Some teams don't.
Well, I thought sooner or later, everybody does at one time or another, don't they? I mean, these things happen in football.
I'm so lucky to have grown up here as a Giants fan. I don't know if I could have taken the Mets and the Jets. The Jets are not a pretty sight.
Well, if you want to bet that the Jets and the Mets can get together and score big, you can go to DraftKings and you can bet on scoring touchdowns, because that's the key to winning the game, is the scoring of the touchdowns. And
is there a way to deliver these lines without sounding like Bill Cosby?
Well, it's the scoring of the touchdowns is the key to winning in the playoffs. And if you can bet on the just go to DraftKings and download that sports book, and you can bet on whether there's going to be a touchdown or not. And it's football. Now, that's a pretty safe bet, because if you we're going to bet if there's going to be a home run, well, you might have a problem there. That's more difficult to accomplish in a football game. But let's say you're not an experienced bettor. Let's say you're ready to place your first bet. Bet on something simple, like one of the players to score 6 points. Wow, that ought to be easy. That's not even 10. Why, they'd only have to score a touchdown and get the extra point after the punt passer throws the kick in from offsides. And they could do that. So you can go to the DraftKings Sportsbook and make your pick right now on their app. Boy, I'll tell you what, also,
yes.
boy, I'll tell you, I'm a COVID survivor, damn it. New customers of DraftKings, new ones, as opposed to people who've been hanging around forever and need to move along before they're arrested for mopery. But new DraftKings customers can bet $5, and they're going to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Now, let's say there's a football game going to be played, and you're going to bet $5 on somebody's going to score a touchdown. Then you could get that $200 in bonus bets, so you could bet on 40 more people. How many people's on the team?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really watch it.
Well, yeah, I'm sure 40 would cover the main ones that might have a chance on scoring a touchdown. And then you've got it covered. You're bound to win. Just bet on everybody.
Well, again, you're not bound to win, but there's always a chance, and you can see if it's your day.
Yeah.
If your numbers come in, however you want to say it, by downloading the DraftKings Sportsbook app.
There you go, folks. I'll tell you what, right now, all of our listeners, your number's up. So go now and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code JCE. That is the code JCE that will allow you to manipulate and finagle the website into giving you the $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown and the touchdowns are yours.
That's right, they are. And, you know, Jim, unfortunately, you gave COVID to our friend who usually comes and reads his little announcement, so we do not have him here.
Wait a minute, Styles Bitchley?
That's not Styles Bitchley.
We
exposed that a long time ago, Jim.
I thought he was coming in to do the cover of this, but he's still on probation, huh?
Well, we do have a disclaimer here for the people.
Yes. Well, I'm a COVID survivor, you know.
Well, so am I.
Okay. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available. For problem gambling, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. We thank you. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance of same. See additional terms and responsible gaming resources or at them or for them. See dkng.co/audio. And their email is too big. It cuts the last word off the right side.
Once again, DraftKings, the crown is yours. Promo
Getting
code
back to that.
JCE. All right.
All righty then.